2 jobs and a prayer. The aroma of burnt toast hung heavy in the air, battling with the sweeter scent of Lily's strawberry shampoo. Leo coughed, waving a hand towards the smoke detector. Almost set off the alarm again. Sorry, sweet pea. Lily, all pigtails and missing front teeth, giggled, unfazed. It smells like Grandpa's campfire. She shoved a chunk of slightly blackened toast into her mouth, crumbs scattering across her polka-dot pajamas. Can I wear the sparkly shoes today? Leo glanced at the clock. 6:47 a.m. He needed to hustle. Sparkly shoes are for Friday, remember? Today's Tuesday's shoe day. He ruffled her hair, grabbing a damp cloth to wipe a smudge of jam from her cheek. Come on, Munchkin. Let's get you moving, or Mrs. Davison will think I've abandoned you again. He hustled her out the door and down the rickety porch steps, the wormwood groaning under their combined weight. Lily chattered about her upcoming school play. She was playing a singing sunflower, while Leo surreptitiously checked his watch every other second. The bakery opened at 7, and Mrs. Higgins was not a fan of tardiness. The ancient Ford Taurus coughed, sputtered, and finally, reluctantly, roared to life. Leo winced at the cacophony. He really needed to get this thing fixed. He dropped Lily off with a kiss and a reminder to practice her sunflower song. As he pulled away from the curb, he caught her beaming face in the rearview mirror, a small spark of joy igniting in his chest. The morning rush at Higgins' Heavenly Breads was a whirlwind of flour, frantic orders, and the rhythmic clang of baking trays. Leo kneaded dough with practiced ease, his muscles aching but his movements efficient. He snuck a discarded croissant to munch on between customers, the flaky pastry momentarily easing the gnawing worry about bills. By noon, he was covered in flour and sweat, but the worst of the rush was over. He punched out, grabbing a day-old baguette for Lily's lunch, and hurried back to his car. He turned the key. Nothing. Just a pathetic clicking sound. Not today, Bessie, please, he muttered, slamming his fist lightly on the dashboard. He tried again. Still nothing. He popped the hood, revealing a grimy engine that looked like it belonged in a museum. He poked and prodded at wires, his brow furrowed in concentration. He knew just enough to be dangerous, but not enough to actually fix anything. The smell of gasoline filled the air. His second job, stocking shelves at the local grocery store, started in an hour. If he was late, Mr. Abernathy would dock his pay, and he couldn't afford that. Frustration mounted. He yanked at a particularly stubborn wire, and it snapped clean off. Great, he groaned, running a hand through his already disheveled hair. Just great. Lily would be home from school soon. He had promised to help her with her lines. He glanced at his watch. He was already running late. A wave of exhaustion washed over him. He leaned against the car, staring at the useless engine. He closed his eyes for a moment, whispering a silent prayer for strength, for a solution, for anything to get him through the day. He heard a small voice behind him. Daddy? Lily stood there, clutching her sunflower costume, her eyes wide with concern. Are you okay? I walked home from school. He forced a smile. Everything's fine, sweetie. Just a little car trouble. He knelt down, taking her hand. Don't worry. I'll figure it out. And I promise I'll be there to see my favorite sunflower shine on stage. Rainy day breakdown. Betsy coughed her last halfway up Crestwood Drive, where houses stood in impeccable order, each a facade of suburban perfection. A curse escaped Leo's lips, swallowed by the downpour. This was no gentle shower, it was a tempest, turning the asphalt to a reflecting pool. He wrestled the ailing vehicle, affectionately, if ironically, named Betsy, to the curb. The key turned in the ignition, offering only the same hollow clicks, like a mechanical death rattle. Leo pounded the dashboard, a futile release of pent-up frustration. Lily's play. He was doomed to miss it. She'd been bubbling with excitement to showcase her theatrical debut as something leafy. A tree? A particularly vigorous shrub? The role itself was secondary, her enthusiasm was paramount. He shoved the car door open, the wind instantly gluing his shirt to his skin. The rain lashed at him, frigid and insistent. He propped open the hood, confronting the chaos of the engine. He hadn't a clue. Wires snaked around like metallic vines. A stark reminder of his mechanical ineptitude. He extracted his phone. The screen already glazed with water droplets. After a clumsy swipe, he dialed Henderson. The man answered instantly, his voice a clipped, impatient bark. Maxwell, where in blazes are you? That shipment needs to be out now. Leo swallowed, his throat thick with a mixture of dread and apology. Mr. Henderson, I'm running late. Betsy finally died on me. Crestwood Drive. A weighty sigh traveled through the phone. Crestwood Drive? What are you even doing up there? Maxwell, this is the 3rd time this month. I need you here, not marooned in some millionaire's playground. Can you fix it? Leo raked a hand through his dripping hair. I don't know, sir. I'll try. I'll call a tow truck if I have to. Just get here. And Maxwell? Start looking for a replacement. This is becoming a liability. The connection severed. Leo stared at the blank screen, rain streaking his view. A new car. As if it were as simple as plucking an apple from one of the branches Lily was currently personifying. Wearily, he slammed the hood, a splash of cold water hitting his face. He had to reach Lily. He just had to. He started walking, praying for a deus ex machina in the form of a passing bus. Silver lining. The sputter had died completely, leaving Leo stranded on the shoulder of the highway, the evening deepening around him like a bruise. He kicked the tire, a useless gesture born of frustration. Sarah would be waiting, her dinner probably cold. He hadn't missed a single bedtime story in months. Tonight felt poised to break that streak. Headlights cut through the gloom. Leo braced himself for the inevitable honk and judgmental glare. Instead, a silver blur slowed, then stopped a respectful distance ahead. The car was low and sleek, impossibly expensive. He watched, wary, as the driver's door swung open. A woman unfolded herself from the vehicle, all long legs and sharp angles. She wore a dress that looked painted on, the color of storm clouds, and heels that clicked with authority as she approached. Trouble. Her voice was crisp, a precise articulation that felt foreign in this gritty landscape. Leo scrubbed a hand over his weary face. Looks like it. Engine just gave up the ghost. She tilted her head, studying the battered minivan. Can I be of assistance? I have roadside assistance, although I'm not entirely sure how it works. A faint blush rose on her cheekbones. To be perfectly honest, I've never actually used it. Leo hesitated. He wasn't accustomed to accepting help, especially not from someone so polished. Appreciate the offer, but I can probably figure it out. Pride warred with the growing despair of the setting sun. Perhaps she conceded, but it's starting to rain. She glanced upwards, and as if on cue, fat drops began to splat onto the asphalt. With an almost theatrical flourish, she produced a large, black umbrella from the back of her car. Consider it. Shelter from the elements while you figure it out. He sighed, defeated. All right. But I'm doing the figuring. He popped the hood, the familiar scent of oil and hot metal filling his nostrils. Of course, she said, holding the umbrella expertly over him. He noticed her brow furrow slightly as she peered at the engine. It looks complicated. Leo grunted, already deep in diagnosis. Distributor caps cracked. Probably got wet, shorted everything out. He pointed to a wire, blackened and frayed. This is toast. Anya Sterling watched, fascinated and utterly lost. The rain intensified, drumming against the umbrella. So, what happens now? Now, Leo said, a spark of something, not quite hope, but a close cousin, flickering in his eyes. I see if I can MacGyver something together before Sarah starts thinking I've joined the circus. A simple fix. It's just a loose connection, Leo said, wiping grease from his brow with the back of his hand. He pointed to a frayed wire dangling near the distributor cap. See that? Keeps the spark from getting where it needs to go. Happens all the time, especially with older engines. Anya peered closer, her nose wrinkling slightly despite the distance. So, it's simple? Simple fix, yeah. If you have the right tools. He glanced at the toolbox resting open on the dusty shoulder of the road. And a bit of electrical tape. Anya's lips tightened. I suppose my roadside assistance doesn't cover frayed wires and electrical tape. Leo chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. Doubt it. But I do. He rummaged through the toolbox, pulling out a roll of black electrical tape and a small pair of pliers. Hold this wire for me, will you? He indicated the dangling end. Anya hesitated for a fraction of a second before carefully grasping the wire between her manicured fingers. Leo used the pliers to crimp the connector, then wrapped it tightly with the tape. The air smelled faintly of ozone and hot metal. He worked quickly and efficiently, his movements honed by years of necessity. There, he said, stepping back. Try her now. Anya slid behind the wheel, her expression a mixture of apprehension and hope. She turned the key. The engine sputtered, coughed, and then roared to life. Relief flooded her face. Amazing, she exclaimed, stepping out of the car. You fixed it. Just like that. She reached into her designer handbag, pulling out a slim, leather wallet. How much do I owe you? Leo shook his head. Nothing. Glad I could help. Nonsense. You saved me hours of waiting, possibly more. Let me at least compensate you for your time. She extracted several crisp $100 bills, holding them out to him. The wind ruffled the edges. Leo's jaw tightened. He avoided eye contact, focusing on cleaning his greasy hands with a rag. Really, I don't want anything. The offer felt wrong. He'd helped because it was the right thing to do, not for payment. Besides, the wad of cash in her hand felt obscene compared to the meager amounts he scraped by on each week. Anya frowned, her eyes narrowed. Are you sure? I insist. You're a lifesaver. He finally looked up, his gaze meeting hers. I appreciate the offer, I really do. But I can't. Just pay it forward, you know? Help someone else out sometime. He offered a small, weary smile. Besides, he added, gesturing to the ring on his finger, I've got all the riches I need. The school play. Anya? Leo here. The voice on the line lacked its usual grit, replaced by a hesitant plea, a shade removed from earlier anxieties. Look, I know this is asking a lot and you're well within your rights to refuse, but... His voice dwindled. Leo, spill it. She pictured him, shoulders slumped, the receiver glued to his ear, likely reeking of motor grease cut by a hint of something sweet. Was that cinnamon? Lily's got her school play tonight. Promised I'd be there, but the damn truck. Still kaput. And the bus doesn't even sniff at the school. It's Midsummer Night's Dream and she's a fairy. She's been running lines for weeks. I can't miss it. Anya envisioned the girl, animated and bright, a surge of unexpected tenderness washing over her. Curtain time. 7 sharp. I'll grab you at 6:30. The school auditorium throbbed with the vibrant chaos of doting parents and sugar-amped kids. Anya, feeling conspicuously overdressed, trailed Leo to back row seating. The stale scent of popcorn mingled with the sharp tang of apprehension. Lily, a shimmer of emerald fabric and glitter-dusted cheeks, was a revelation. A surprising elegance marked her movements, her voice ringing clear and true with each line. Anya found herself engrossed, oblivious to the hard bleachers and the sticky floor. But it was more than Lily's talent that snagged Anya's attention. Leo. Leaning forward, his focus laser-locked on his daughter, a tender smile graced his lips. He silently echoed her lines, his eyes alight with paternal pride. In that instant, devoid of grease stains and weariness, he was simply a dad, utterly, completely captivated. A facet she hadn't glimpsed before, a raw sincerity that resonated deeply. After the final bow, a joyous riot erupted. Youngsters stampeded toward their families. Lily spied Leo and catapulted herself into his embrace. Daddy, did you see? Did you see me fly? He squeezed her tight, burying his face in her hair. Saw you, angel. Best darn fairy anyone ever did see. He mussed her hair, then noticed Anya standing a few feet away. A genuine, undisguised grin brightened his features. Anya, meet Lily. Lily, this is Anya, the amazing lady who got my truck going. Still vibrating with joy, Lily pivoted to Anya. Thank you for fixing Daddy's truck. He's always working so hard. She wrapped her arms around Anya's legs in a surprisingly forceful hug. Anya knelt, a sudden tightness in her throat. You were magnificent, Lily. Absolutely magnificent. As Leo and Lily strolled off, hand clasped in hand, Anya watched them, a peculiar ache taking root in her chest. The image was so profoundly ordinary, brimming with affection and unadorned happiness. She wondered how long it had been since she had tasted anything remotely like it. The shine and allure of her opulent existence suddenly felt shallow. A gilded prison compared to the unvarnished love she had just witnessed. The ring. The engine coughed. A pathetic, rattling sound that mirrored Anya's frayed nerves. Leo, knuckles greasy, was peering into the engine bay, muttering something unintelligible under his breath. That's when she saw it, a simple, platinum band on his left ring finger, nestled amongst the grime. It wasn't new. Faint scratches marred its surface, testament to years of wear. Are you married? The question slipped out before she could stop it, sharper than she intended. Leo didn't look up. He said, his voice flat. Sarah passed away 5 years ago. He straightened, wiping his hands on a rag tucked into the back of his jeans. The gesture seemed weary, defeated. Anya felt a pang of something she hadn't experienced in years, genuine empathy uncolored by the protective cynicism she usually wore like armor. I'm sorry, she offered, the words feeling inadequate. He shrugged, a gesture that spoke volumes about the weight he carried. It is what it is. Left me with a good kid, though. 8 years old now, going on 18. A ghost of a smile flickered across his face. Keeps me on my toes, that one. Anya leaned against the fender, the cool metal a contrast to the sudden heat in her cheeks. Single parenting, that must be incredibly difficult. She had no frame of reference, her own life a carefully curated collection of assistants, chefs, and personal trainers. Difficult? Yeah, sometimes. But worth it. Every single scream-filled, crayon-covered, homework-dodging minute. He chuckled, a low rumble that vibrated in the air. It's grounding, you know? Reminds you what's important. He turned back to the engine, his brow furrowed in concentration. Anya watched him, his movements efficient and practiced, a stark contrast to the quiet grief that lingered in his voice. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the dusty yard, highlighting the lines etched around his eyes, the weariness in his posture. Sarah, what was she like? The question surprised her as much as it surprised him. He paused, his hand hovering over a tangle of wires. Sarah, she was sunshine. Always laughing, always finding the good in everything. She could make a $5 meal taste like a feast and turn a rainy day into an adventure. His voice softened, a hint of longing coloring his words. She was everything. The silence stretched, punctuated only by the chirping of crickets in the nearby field. Anya felt a lump forming in her throat. She pictured him, this strong, capable man, navigating the world alone, raising a child, keeping the memory of his wife alive. And all while wrestling with broken-down cars and leaky roofs. She felt a profound sense of shame. Her meticulously crafted world of luxury and ease felt suddenly fragile, meaningless. He cleared his throat, breaking the silence. Anyway, he said, his voice regaining its usual gruffness, I think I've found the problem. Looks like a faulty fuel injector. I can probably get one from the junkyard tomorrow morning. Won't cost you much. Tomorrow? Anya asked, the word laced with a surprising amount of dread. The thought of leaving felt wrong. He nodded. Unless you want to try and sleep in that thing. He gestured towards her car with a wry smile. Anya looked at Leo, at the wedding ring glinting in the fading light, at the oil stains on his hands, at the quiet strength in his eyes. She knew, with a certainty that surprised her, that she couldn't just drive away tomorrow. Not yet. An offer he can't refuse. Anya tapped a manicured nail against her phone, the screen displaying a less than flattering photo lifted from Leo Maxwell's barely there LinkedIn profile. Leo Maxwell, mechanic. Specializes in rust removal, apparently. She swiped through court records, property taxes, and news articles detailing the closure of his family's garage a year ago. The information painted a stark picture, mounting debt, foreclosure notices, and the quiet desperation of a man clinging to the edge. She sighed, feeling a pang of something she hadn't experienced in years, empathy. Money had a way of insulating you from such realities. It was time to put some of hers to good use. The next day, Anya found Leo wrestling with the stubborn hood of her vintage Aston Martin. Grease streaked his forehead and his usual good humor seemed dimmed. Morning, Leo, she said, projecting an easy confidence she didn't entirely feel. He straightened, wiping his hands on a rag. Morning, Miss Sterling. Almost got it this time, I think. Take your time. I was wondering, are you looking for work? Leo blinked, surprised. I'm always looking for work, Miss Sterling. Pays the bills, you know. He chuckled, but the sound was hollow. I have a bit of a collection. Cars mostly. They need someone reliable to maintain them, keep them running smoothly. Flexible hours. Good pay. Anya paused, watching his reaction. Leo frowned. A collection? Like how many? Enough, she said, waving a dismissive hand. The point is, I need someone I can trust, someone who knows their way around an engine. You clearly do. He looked back at the Aston Martin, then back at her, suspicion clouding his features. Why me, Miss Sterling? There are plenty of mechanics in this town. Anya stepped closer, her voice softening. Because I saw the way you handled this beauty. You didn't just fix it, you cared for it. And well, I admire a man who takes pride in his work. She let the compliment hang in the air, hoping it would disarm him. Leo remained unconvinced. What's the catch? No catch, she insisted. Just a job. A good job. She named a figure significantly higher than what she imagined he was currently earning. Leo's eyes widened. He swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing. That's a lot of money, Miss Sterling. More than I've ever made. You're worth it, Anya said firmly. So, what do you say, Leo? Do we have a deal? He hesitated, rubbing the back of his neck. I don't know, Miss Sterling. It sounds too good to be true. He looked genuinely conflicted, torn between the desperation of his current situation and an ingrained distrust of easy solutions. I need to think about it. Anya smiled, relieved. Of course. Take your time. But don't take too long, Leo. Good opportunities don't always come around twice. She turned to leave, then paused. And Leo? Call me Anya. A new beginning. I still don't understand why you want me, Leo said, the oily rag twisting in his hands. I'm a mechanic, not a curator. I barely know the difference between a Bentley and a Bugatti. Anya's smile didn't falter. The late afternoon sun caught the highlights in her immaculately styled hair. Leo, you have an inherent understanding of how things work, how to coax life back into them when they're broken. That's far more valuable than any textbook knowledge. Besides, she added, leaning closer, her perfume a subtle blend of citrus and spice, I trust you. That's worth its weight in gold. He shifted, uncomfortable under her intense gaze. Trust. It was a commodity he hadn't traded in a long time. What if I mess up? Then we fix it. Together, Anya said, her voice firm. Give me a week, Leo. Just 1 week to prove I'm right. He looked down at the grease-stained rag, then back up at Anya, her face open and sincere. He thought of Lily, of her worn-out shoes and the hopeful look in her eyes when he'd mentioned a possible raise. He straightened his shoulders. All right, 1 week. The garage was more like a museum. Gleaming chrome and polished wood filled the vast space, a symphony of automotive history. Anya introduced him to the basics, the climate control system, the battery tenders, the security protocols. He listened intently, his mechanic's mind absorbing the details, cataloging potential problems. He felt a flicker of excitement, a stirring of the passion he thought he'd lost somewhere between bills and broken promises. His first task was simple, detail a 1957 Porsche 356 Speedster. Hours later, his hands ached, but the car gleamed under the fluorescent lights, its crimson paint practically dripping with reflection. Anya arrived as he was putting away the last of the detailing supplies. Well, he asked, wiping his brow. Anya circled the car, her expression unreadable. Then she stopped, a small smile playing on her lips. It looks reborn, Leo. Like it's eager to hit the road. That week stretched into 2, then 3. He learned the quirks of each car, the temperamental engine of the vintage Ferrari, the surprisingly modern technology hidden within the classic Rolls-Royce. He even started reading up on automotive history, surprising himself with his newfound interest. More importantly, he was home for dinner more often. He helped Lily with her homework, read her bedtime stories without falling asleep halfway through. He even managed to fix her bicycle, replacing the rusted chain and wobbly wheels, turning it back into a symbol of freedom and joy. One evening, as Lily rode her newly repaired bike around the park, her laughter echoing in the twilight, Leo watched her, a deep contentment settling in his chest. He glanced at his hands, no longer perpetually stained with grease, but still capable, still strong. Maybe, just maybe, Anya was right. Maybe this was a new beginning. Unexpected blessings. The aroma of burnt gasoline danced with the sweet perfume of lilies in Leo's cramped garage, an incongruous but surprisingly pleasant blend. Anya, instead of the anticipated recoil, tilted her head, absorbed, sketching in a notepad, her polished auburn hair catching the sun's rays. He'd steeled himself for her vanishing act post-repair, writing it off as a billionaire's whim. Instead, Anya persisted. Lunches appeared, first vibrant salads devoured by Lily with unrestrained joy. Then came books, carefully selected and gently loved. Lately, she just lingered, asking about torque specs, Lily's spelling tests, his long-abandoned aspirations. And, hesitantly at first, then with growing comfort, he answered. You know, Anya mused, tapping her pen, your engine work possesses a certain artistry. You should consider the regional competition. Leo scoffed, wiping grime on a rag. Artistry? Anya, I'm just trying to avoid repossession. Precisely. Think exposure. Funding. Her smile bloomed, a genuine, heartfelt expression that crinkled the corners of her eyes. Lily would be ecstatic. From her perch, legs swinging, Lily chimed in. Already am, Daddy. You make things work. A warmth bloomed in Leo's chest, momentarily eclipsing the ever-present shadow of worry. He met Anya's gaze, truly seeing her. Not just a benefactor, but something more. A companion. Anya began collecting Lily after school a couple of afternoons a week, outings to the park or the library. Through the grimy shop window, Leo often observed them, Lily's small hand clasped securely in Anya's, heads inclined in earnest conversation. He'd never witnessed such effervescence in his daughter. Anya possessed a knack for eliciting her spirit, for making her feel truly validated. One evening, Anya arrived bearing pizza, pepperoni for Lily, a gourmet mushroom for the grown-ups. They ate on the floor of his postage stamp-sized living room, the cardboard box a makeshift table. To fresh starts, Anya proposed, brandishing her slice. Leo and Lily mirrored her gesture. He glanced at Lily. Radiant. While the absence of her mother still lingered, she was, undeniably, thriving. He was indebted to Anya beyond measure. Later, finding Anya at the sink, scrubbing dishes, Leo protested, You really didn't have to. It's nothing, she said quietly. Besides, I enjoy it. It feels ordinary. She paused, turning to him, her expression earnest. Leo, you and Lily deserve every happiness. He simply nodded, finding himself speechless with burgeoning gratitude. Weeks later, fueled by Anya's unyielding encouragement and Lily's boundless zeal, Leo actually registered for the competition. He didn't snag first prize, but his third-place finish brought a modest purse and a wave of local attention. The phone wouldn't stop ringing. That night, they celebrated. Anya provided sparkling cider for Lily, and they congregated on the porch, gazing at the celestial tapestry above. Curled between them, Lily pointed out constellations, her voice drowsy. We're so lucky, she murmured, succumbing to sleep. Leo drew her closer. He studied Anya's face, bathed in moonlight. He was, indeed, fortunate. He had Lily. He had his livelihood. And now, inexplicably, wonderfully, he also had Anya. A friend. An unexpected gift.